Mr. Gardiner, thank you for joining us today in the Lifestyle Melbourne studio. What is the Victorian Charter of Human Rights?
Well, Victoria has a Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities, which is an act of the Victorian Parliament, which declares the human rights that the Victorian Parliament intends to be protected specifically in Victoria, and which sets out some mechanisms for doing that.
Why is it so important to have this charter?
Well, we need a charter because the charter provides a framework. Victorian law has a whole lot of things that influence human rights, but the framework that the charter provides adds a different degree of protection. It sets out ways that the Parliament itself should be sure to consider human rights, and it puts some obligations on government and on people who are employed to do government work in respecting human rights.
Is Victoria the only state that has a charter?
Yes, only Victoria has a charter, and one of the territories, the Australian Capital Territory, also has a charter. The ACT came in first. Victoria's charter was enacted in 2006 and came into full force at the beginning of 2008.
When was the charter introduced?
Victoria got its charter over a period really through the 2000s. The process began very early in about 2000-2001 when I and others involved in the Victorian Equal Opportunity Commission, as it then was, set out trying to get a better human rights framework for equality, for anti-discrimination laws. It ended up, through a long campaign, the government was convinced and had a consultation in 2005 which took a huge number of submissions from the public who were overwhelmingly in favour of a charter, and the bill for the charter went through the Parliament in early 2006, and it came into force in two stages. First, the beginning of 2007 for some of it, and the full force of the charter came in at the beginning of 2008.
Who has to obey the charter?
The charter puts specific obligations on what it calls public authorities, which is basically the state government, including not only the government as an entity, but every minister as an individual person, and every public servant as an individual person as part of their practice, part of the public accountability of the public service, and indeed on every person who does work for the government in the sense of doing government-type things. So a lot of people are directly bound to act consistently with the Charter, that's what it requires, and to consider human rights whenever they're making decisions. And of course, most people are making decisions in work a lot of the time.